So I was able to fight through so much pain. But it caught up to me my 5th year, and I just broke. I couldn't handle it. You know, so people saying, depression is not real. I battled depression. God, I was battling depression, anxiety my whole life and overcame it. If you live in New York City area, I want you guys to go down to 34th Street and go to Penn Station and look at all them people in there. Some of them people are suffering from extreme depression. So what does that mean? They need somewhere to lay at. So they go to the Penn Station, they sit there, they lay there. They're suffering from depression, extreme depression. They can't fight it no more. They're not strong. It's taking its course. Mental illness is like any other disease. If it goes untreated, it gets worse throughout time. And now listen, I acknowledge and I respect when people say, depression is not real. I understand why you say that, because you have to trick yourself. The more you sit around and say, I'm depressed, it makes you weak. But at the same time, you still have to acknowledge it to a degree. I went my whole life not acknowledging it. And it finally caught up to me my 5th year in college. Guys, to the point to where I said, I'm just going to find the city bench and sit there and die. That's how bad it is. If it not had been for my mother, I would be homeless right now. That's how bad my depression was. And on top of that, I was following God, so I'm doing videos about God, and people start harassing me. And I said, good, maybe one of them will kill me. That's how bad my depression was. I didn't want to kill myself. I didn't want to offend God. I realized I was being harassed, so instead of trying to make it easier for myself, I made it worse because I'm depressed. I wanted someone to kill me. You can battle depression but for so long. Once again, if you're in New York City, go to Penn Station. Look at them people in Penn Station just sitting there. Some of them have extreme depression. They cannot fight it. Mental illness is like any disease. If you have a bad knee and you keep running on it and you don't get treatment, it's gradually going to get to the point where you're not going to be able to run anymore. When you have a mental illness like depression, anxiety, and you don't treat it, it's going to get to the point to where you're not going to be able to focus anymore. Treating it is acknowledging it, finding healthy habits. Even medication, even though I'm against medication, because you become codependent on it, and if you don't have it, you have a serious break. Because the energy out now is, depression is not real, mental illness is not real. Nah, man. Guys, if it wasn't for my mother, by the Father's power, when I dropped out of college, when they forced me to leave my dorm room, because I didn't want to come home. They forced me to leave. They said, you have to leave. I said, I'm going to go home. If my mother kicks me out, I'm going to find the city bench and stay there till I die. That was my mindset. Because why? I was suffering from extreme depression. So my mother let me stay. She realized I was mentally ill. So then I started doing videos about God because I was inspired to do it. Then I started to get harassed. So when I realized people were harassing me for what I was saying, I would purposely do more videos and say more things that seem more hurtful to people that don't like what I'm saying. Why? Why would I do that? Because I wanted someone to kill me. Because I didn't want to be alive anymore. I'm not going to kill myself. I don't want to offend God. So I said, if people don't like me preaching God, I'm going to keep preaching it, and maybe somebody will kill me. I will purposely go out 1 a.m. I will purposely go out, headphones blasting. Why would I do that? Because I have depression. Mental illness is real, man. It's not something to just say, it's not real. Because I'm telling you, my whole life, I was battling it. My whole life, I was battling against illness. From sickle cell trait to I have a missing, the heart has like 2 flaps. One of the flaps was never developed. To general anxiety disorder, ever since I was a kid. To the point where if my father yelled at me, I'll pee on myself. To the autism spectrum, I couldn't go to sleep unless I banged my head into the bed until I finally dozed off. This is all mental illness, but I never treated it. It was never treated. 5th year in college, I'm the man. Multiple NFL Scott offers, and I just threw it away. Said fuck it. It made it easier for me to serve God. it made it easy for me to put my life on the line because I just didn't care. Because once again, I had a heavy spirit. The depression's a heavy spirit. The Most High put a heavy spirit on me. But I'm not going to get spiritual. Because the other side of everything I'm saying is a spiritual side that I can break down too. But right now, I'm going to keep it mental health wise. I'm not going to get spiritual. I'm going to leave the spiritual part for another video. I'm just going to talk logical right now. Got to my 5th year in college. I finally I had a psychotic break. I stayed in my dorm room for months and wouldn't leave. Then I got kicked out of the dorm, came home, still in a psychotic break, still delusional, still suffering from depression. I would watch my niece and make a little bit of change. Still delusional, still suffering from depression. I'll do this, I'll do that. I don't feel like it because I'm depressed. Then on top of that, I was being harassed. But I didn't mind the harassment because my life is so miserable. I'm suffering from depression. I'm delusional. I'm in a psychotic break. And when I was watching my nieces, my mother was always there. So she was there watching them basically for me. I was just getting money. Now I'm being harassed. I'm going through harassment, going through a psychotic break, but it didn't bother me because I have depression. Being followed everywhere I go. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into the gang stalking harassment. I'm not going to get into that. Which is insane, you know. How can you gang stalk someone that's coming off of a psychotic break? It's nuts, you know. It's beyond me, you know. I'm just thinking logically right now. I'm not thinking spiritually right now. I'm thinking logically. Why would you harass someone and gang stalk someone that's came off of a psychotic break? But that's another story. So what I'm saying is, guys, I went my whole life battling mental illness and overcoming it until finally I had a psychotic break. I was the guy that said, F that, I'm going to be rich. I don't care about depression. I don't care about how I feel. I'm just going to do it. I don't care if I'm in pain. I'm just going to do it. But once again, that psychotic break came my 5th year and I dropped out. 5th year college, guys. Multiple NFL contracts. Multiple offers. And I threw it all away. Why? Because I had a psychotic break and was under extreme depression to the point to where I said to myself, if my mom doesn't let me live with her, I'm just going to find the city bench and sit there and die because I'm not asking nobody for anything. So people saying that, you know, depression is not real, I'm sorry, man. I went through my whole life ignoring it, and it finally caught up to me. Once again, if you're in New York City, go down to Penn Station and look at them people just sitting there. That would have been me if my mother didn't let me stay here. Them people suffer an extreme psychotic break. They're depressed. They don't have no ambition. They never got treated. They never showed themselves love. They always just put it on the back burner and it finally caught up to them. People say I battle depression. It's not that severe, man. It's not that severe. It's not that severe. Because if you're battling extreme depression, you're not going to be able to do what you're doing. If you're battling extreme depression, you're not going to be able to do what you're doing. It's not that severe. It's tolerable. Once again, mental illness is like a physical illness. If you have a tear in your ACL and it's a slight tear, but you don't get it treated, you keep going on it, you're going to eventually tear it to where you're not going to be able to perform. People that suffer depression and they don't get a break, because everyone goes through a period of extreme suffering and they get a break. These people that you see that are finished, they never got a break. They never got that moment. They never got that aid. They finally cracked. They never got no one opened the door for them. They broke down. When they needed the relief, they didn't get it. When you was at your breaking point, you got the relief when you needed it at the right time. These people didn't get that relief, and it cost them their sanity. Man, this is heavy, man. This is heavy. Because you go downtown, you go to these you see these people, man. They never got a break. They never got that relief when you got that relief. When I got that, they never got it. I never got it, but I was fortunate. I'm fortunate. Someone can say, well, Al, I thought that you turned down an interview for God. No, God put a heavy spirit on me and I threw my life away. Same thing with Moses. God put a heavy spirit on Moses and he threw his life away. I give all glory to God. It was time. If it wasn't for the Father putting a heavy spirit on me, I would have went to the league. The Father wanted me, and the Father put me in this position. Now, let's get back to the logical, because I said I wouldn't go to that place. But logically, I had a psychotic break. All the years of mental illness going untreated, I finally broke down. And then after I break down, when I come home, my mother was kind enough to let me stay here. I have to go through harassment and gang stalking and chemical warfare. It's insane. Now, the only reason to why I didn't break down when I was under harassment and chemical warfare and gang stalking was because I already broke down. I was already depressed. I was ready to die. I wanted to die. I was under attack, and I'm just like, I'm like scratching my head, like, why is someone attacking me? Look at me, I'm a loser. In my mind, I was a loser because you don't understand who I was before I had a psychotic break. I was the same person that said I'll never had a 9 to 5, and I achieved it. I got to that. I got there. Because once you get into the league, that was it for me. I was gonna because I said to myself, if I don't last in the league, I'm gonna take the money I get from signing contracts. I'm gonna network. So I said to myself, all I need is one shot in the league, and that's it. I'm never gonna work a 9 to 5. That was my mindset. I was an animal. I was hungry. I'm never gonna ask anybody for anything. I'm gonna make it, and I achieved it. And then I had a psychotic break. So now I'm in a psychotic break. I said, fuck it. I'm just gonna go find the bench and die. At least no one will say I'm a beggar. That's the mindset I had. That was my attitude. So all of the guys saying depression's not real, depression's real, man. Mental illness is real. And if you're suffering from mental illness, get treatment, man. Love yourself. Put yourself first, man. Sometimes you gotta put yourself first. And what does putting yourself first mean? Go on a vacation. Take the weekend to go out for a little while. Go relieve yourself. Talk to a therapist. Just talk to somebody. There's nothing wrong with that. Get help. Because everyone's saying depression's not real, but I was the guy that was saying that. I was the guy that was saying that. I was the guy who shouldn't have played football for 7 more years. Because I had a heart condition. Every doctor in New York City denied me because they didn't want me to drop dead on the football field. Me and my mother had to go all the way out to Connecticut to get cleared. And you know what the doctor said? He said, listen, man, I don't need you to drop dead and ruin my name. And I went on to play 7 more years of football. And I had this heart condition before I had college scholarships. So I wasn't even a star. I wasn't even a star yet. It's my second year. All of this happened. My career was supposed to be done. I could die, drop dead in the field from my heart stopping or something. And then I went on to become the #1 defensive tackle in New York State, the #2 defensive player in New York City, to being ranked by ESPN a 4-star recruit, to being ranked by ESPN the #10 defensive tackle nationally, to get scholarships from schools like Rutgers University, Louisville, Marshall, Maryland, Kansas. To then go to college, I messed up at Rutgers, ended up going to Wagner, becoming an All-American at Wagner, getting multiple NFL contracts. I did all of this with sickle cell trait and a heart condition and battling depression and anxiety. I did all of this. So I know what it feels like to go against the fucking grain, man. I'm not going to say depression and stuff is real. No, I know what it feels like to go against the grain. And I've been battling anxiety since I was a child, because if my father would yell at me, my anxiety was so bad I would urinate. But eventually it caught up to me and I had a psychotic break. I couldn't handle it no more. For everyone saying I have depression, it's not that bad, man. It's not that bad yet. Yet. And when I realized I was sick, I was dating a chick at the time. I was terrible to her. I was waiting for her to leave. She left. Good, it's over. But my mindset was, if my mom won't let me stay there, I'm going to go find the city bench in New York and just sit there and die, because I'm not going to ask anybody for anything. That was my mindset, man. And people saying depression's not real. Nah, man, that shit's real, man. And the only reason why I never tried to kill myself, because I didn't want to offend the Most High. And then while dealing with that, I was being harassed. Which, the people that were harassing me, I don't get it. You know, if you see an individual that just dropped out of college, you can clearly see the person symptomatic. Why would you harass him? But that's a different animal. So a guy saying depression, anxiety, I just told you my story. I battled a missing piece of my heart, sickle cell trait anemia, depression and anxiety ever since I was a little child. And while suffering all of these things, also while being an autism spectrum, also while being a special ed, ended up getting a scholarship to Rutgers University, going to Rutgers University, transferring to Wagner College, and in the process ended up doing 5 years in college, getting multiple NFL contracts. Then I finally had a psychotic break and couldn't do anything. Became a fucking vegetable. People say I have depression and I do it. It's not that bad yet. Because I had a lot of shit I was fighting through. It's not that bad yet. Like any physical illness, if it goes untreated throughout time, it get worse. The same thing applies for your mental health. I went through all of that stuff with no break and just pushed through it in mad misery and pain. And finally, my 5th year, when I finally opened the door to success, finally achieved my manifestation. Because I said I'm never going to work a 9 to 5. I'm going to be rich because I'm going to go to the NFL and network. See, my plan was just to get into the NFL, then I'm going to network. I'm going to invest. I was an animal with that. That was my mindset. I said, if I make X amount of money with the NFL, I can take this percentage of money and put it into businesses. And I'll be rich forever. That was my mindset. But then it happened. The psychotic break. And the spiritual note, the Most High put his hand on me and said, nah, you belong to me now. But let's keep it logical. So I finally got to my point of success. I finally achieved it, everything that I said I would achieve. I finally achieved it. Then I had a psychotic break. Why? Because it all caught up to me. All the years of not putting myself first. All the years of neglecting my mental health. It finally caught up to me, man. To the point to where I said that if my mother won't let me go back with her, I'm going to find the city bench and just sit there and die because I'm not asking nobody for help. And I meant it. Put your mental health first. Mental health is real, man. Everyone's saying depression's not real. I was one of them dudes, man. I was one of them guys. I had depression, anxiety. I had sickle cell trait anemia. I had a heart condition, and I had aching joints and bones because of the sickle cell. Even to this day, I cannot properly breathe because of my sickle cell trait. Even to this day, I have pain in my chest because of my heart condition. But still, Having all of that, I went on to play sports for 8 years and get NFL contracts. And when doctors said I would never be able to play sports again because of my heart condition, it was my second year of high school, I went on next year to get multiple scholarships. All city, all state, and I got invited to an All-American game in South Carolina. Then when I'm in college, I have a knee injury that they say is supposed to end your career because it doesn't heal. That didn't stop me. I went forward, ended up transferring from Rutgers, going to Wagner, and becoming an All-American, getting multiple NFL contracts with a knee injury that said couldn't be healed. I know what it feels like to go against the grain and prevail. But once again, when you're dealing with mental health, and as time goes by, like any physical illness, if it goes by untreated, it only gets worse. So when I got to my season, when it was my season, my time, that's when everything came back and kicked me in the ass. It had not have been for my mother, I probably would be dead. Because I meant it. I was going to find the city bench, sit there, and not ask and just starve. I meant that. Because I'm not going to be a burden to nobody. That was my attitude. Because my attitude was, I'm not working, I don't deserve to eat. So I was going to find the city bench and just die. Because all I did was grind while suffering. And I didn't respect anyone that didn't grind while suffering. But it all caught up, man. It caught up. Most high. You know, and I'm humbled now. I'm a different man. I was the same guy that saying if you don't work, you don't eat.